Session. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Harmanjeet Rekhi. I welcome you on this small little live that we're doing for Global Menopause Collective along with Chandigarh Connect Circles. I'm so glad that we are here, Dr. Arya, Dr. Radhika, Samira, Roshni, and Uma, all the way from Pretoria, South Africa. So we start with something really pertinent here, something very, very pertinent. I would say, as I just described a little while back, many women enter their late 30s and early 40s and begin noticing subtle changes. I'm specifically looking at you. Why? Because I'm construing that this particular line applies to you, and you, and you, and the young girl who's sitting at the back. Sleep becomes lighter, energy becomes unpredictable, emotions sometimes feel unfamiliar. I'm sure everybody is navigating through the same turmoils, but somehow we are not able to give language to that. And yet, when women try to talk about it, the world around them often dismisses it as stress or overthinking. What if the body is not failing? And that's exactly what we're trying to discuss here with Dr. Arya now. Dr. Arya, what is perimenopause? What is this word about? Why is it misunderstood? Why is it not even known in the first place?
So hello, good evening everyone, and thank you so much Harmanjeet for giving me this opportunity and giving me a chance to, talk about the much less discussed and much less topic called perimenopause. It is as surprising as it is, and as Harmanjeet just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, not only men, even women are unaware of the term.
True.
What perimenopause is. सबको ये लगता है, everybody actually thinks that 50 पे आएगा. We all wait for our 50s for menopause to arrive. Little do we know that it is already there. It is already knocking at our door right after the age of 30, 35. We start having those transitions. We start navigating those shifts. And our body is showing us that yes, you have arrived there. But unfortunately, because we have always learned to undermine ourselves, we have been taught culturally also to ignore ourselves, we have not paid much attention to this until recently. Our mothers never told us that these are the things that you might be experiencing. These are the things, the shifts that you might be facing after the age of 35, and you need not fear. These are the certain guidelines that you can follow. So thankfully, now the science has advanced. There is a lot of research. There is a term for this. All of these shifts come under one single umbrella called the perimenopause. So perimenopause is not just a hormonal problem. For me, I feel it's an awareness issue. So that is why I'm here today to talk about this, to discuss this topic with all of you. So what perimenopause is exactly? Everybody's heard the word menopause. You know that menopause is when a female does not have her periods for 12 consecutive months. Now, this is not a one-day event or a one-year event. As we say, 12 months, like if a female is not going to have her periods, then she's going to have her menopause. The transition begins a decade before she actually arrives at menopause. So the changes a female starts to experience after the age of 35 are very much biological. They start at the hormonal level. We have two hormones, the estrogen and the progesterone. Everybody knows about these hormones, but what we don't know is that we only relate these hormones to reproduction to our periods, to childbirth, to pregnancy, all of this. But there is so much more to these two hormones. They are affecting every function of your body, your skin, your hair, your cardiovascular health, your mental health, directly or indirectly is influenced by these two hormones, the estrogen hormone and the progesterone hormone. So now I'll be talking about a few symptoms that you may be experiencing. So once when I talk them out aloud, I want you all to note, or even just think back and think aloud maybe. Uh, how many of you have experienced, you or someone you love, you've seen, have experienced changes in their mood? Some days are good, some days are bad. You are feeling low and you don't know the reason why. You're crying, sitting in a corner and crying. And on asking, you really don't know what the answer is. Why are you crying? On some of the days, you are more anxious. On some of the days, you are a little more on the edge, what we say. Sometimes, it just happens. I'll give you an example. Your children come up with something and you react out of the blue. Later on, you feel it wasn't so big. Why did I shout so much? That exactly is what is happening to you. It's, it's not something that you are doing deliberately. It's the changes that are happening within your body. The weight gain around the abdominal area. A lot of you may be thinking, I'm having the same diet. I'm doing the same workouts, then why am I putting on weight? This is what it is. A lot of you may be experiencing the sleep changes. You are tired, you want to sleep, but the sleep evades you. Sometimes you are able to also go to sleep, but at 3 a.m., suddenly you're wide awake, thinking, walking around in the house, what to do now? Oh, उसने मुझे ये बोल दिया था. 3 years before ago, he said this thing. Why did he say this thing? That overthinking mode. All of this is related to the hormonal changes that you are experiencing. And the point is not to scare you. The point is for you to understand that these changes have a reason. These changes have a biological reason attached to them. So that once you start understanding what is happening with you, you start asking the right question. What is your body signaling now? What is the need of your body? What is it demanding of you? So when you start understanding what is happening to you, you start navigating your body with more understanding. And research shows that women who have a better understanding of what is going on with them, they are able to make lifestyle adjustments better and navigate through this phase with much more information and much more ease than women who do not, who are just walking in the blind. So essentially, the demand of this time is to make certain shifts in your lifestyle, in your daily routine, such that you are able to not only navigate this shift, but also enter your 50s and 60s better. I'll just give you 4 tips here. When I say the lifestyle shifts, everybody talks about protein. Yes, protein is important, but what are the sources of protein? You need to pay attention to that. Then healthy fats, and then your vitamins, minerals, they are very, very important. What are you having? Then the second thing that we need to pay attention to is your exercise. And when I say exercise, I'm not talking about mindless cardios. I'm not talking about aerobics. I'm talking about strength training, which is a non-negotiable part of a female body after the age of 35. It is just non-negotiable. You don't have to do very tough exercises, but you need to do some form of strength or resistance training at least twice or thrice a week for 20 minutes. That's all. And it's not so very difficult. The third thing that you need to pay attention to is your sleep. And the fourth thing is your stress management. You need to start regulating your nervous system in a way that you are able to better manage your stress. So I would want to leave you with these 4 simple techniques that you can do that you can inculcate in your everyday life so that you are able to navigate this shift better. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Harman. And over to you.
It's my absolute pleasure. I welcome Dr. Ashok, Dr. Romika. Please have a seat. Very senior dentists of Chandigarh. Romika ma'am, Dr. Arya, Dr. Radhika. They are our panelists, and you've got somebody very special here, Roshni, Samira, and Uma. Dr. Romika has been one of our panelists in the previous events also. Roshni, we've done a little bit of talkie till now. We've been speaking. But now I want you to guide us with a grounding exercise for our nervous system. How do you think like that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Hamanjit, so much. Good evening to one and all present over here. And before I get into that bit of movement, I would like to share something. So one thing that stayed with me, what Dr. Shubha shared, that it is not the hormonal issues, है ना? That the problem is not that, because of course that is what is the cause of the perimenopause. But what's the problem here is the awareness issue. So we have just heard a lot of valuable insights from Dr. Shilpa regarding what is happening inside the body. And let us now take a few moments to connect that understanding with the body and gently experience it. So before I get into that, so I just wanted to share few of my understanding of this particular phase, perimenopause. The body is already under internal fluctuations, especially the estrogen and the progesterone, rightly pointed out by Dr. Shilpa. And these hormones don't just affect the body, they also affect the nervous system. So which is why many women feel a slight anxiety, restlessness, light sleep or sudden fatigue. And this is not weakness, it's a physiological response, I would say. And now one of the simplest ways to support the body is through slow breathing. Now, because breathing directly impacts the nervous system, and when you breathe slowly, especially the longer exhalations, you activate something called as the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this is the body's calming system. I would say it is a system when the rest and recovery mode of your body is activated. It kind of reduces the heart rate, and it signals, and it reduces the internal stress signals, and it kind of tells your body that you are safe. So let us just experience few of those things. And before that, Hannah, I would just like to I cannot see the audience on the screen here, but any which ways, I would like to say that we would just start with a small adjustment in how we all are sitting. So I'm sure you all are sitting on a chair, as I can see Dr. Shilpa sitting on a chair and Dr. Radhika as well. So I would just say, can everybody gently just move back so your hips, Hannah, are touching to the back of the chair. So this will naturally help your spine to stay upright without forcing it. And now check your feet as well. Try to keep them flat on the floor. And if your feet are hanging for any reason, it can put kind of unnecessary pressure on the knees. So if your feet are slightly hanging, you can come slightly forward on the chair so you can rest your feet comfortably and keep your spine upright. Okay, so she I can see Harmanjit adjusting. So going forward, whenever you are sitting at home or at work, if your feet don't reach the floor, you can use a small support like a stool under your feet, and a small a simple sitting posture like this already reduces a lot of unnecessary strain on the body. I hope everybody is experiencing once you adjust your sitting position. You can show me thumbs up for whomsoever I can see on screen. Thank you so much. So let us all rest our hands on our thighs. You can keep your palms facing upwards and just feel the support beneath you. And if you are comfortable, I would just request everybody to gently close your eyes. Okay. So sitting upright with your chin parallel to the floor and with your eyes closed and a gentle smile on your face, I would request you to bring your attention to the tip of your nose and observe your breath. Just breathing in and breathing out. You will have thoughts coming in your mind, so kindly do not attach yourself with those thoughts. Let them come, let them go, just like passing clouds. You can keep bringing your attention back to your breath, your natural breathing. Now let us slowly bring our awareness to our neck, and let us gently begin to rotate it clockwise, just for 1 to 2 rounds. If you know, great. If you don't, you can just simply open your eyes and get check. So you can just do a simple and gentle, very slowly neck rotation. While you do so, make sure that you keep your attention on your breath. Once you are done with clockwise, let us start with the anti-clockwise movement for 2 rounds, very slowly and gently. So all the nerves below your neck and are kind of connecting to your brain, passing through your neck. So it kind of stimulates your nerves as well when you're doing these neck rotations. So be gentle. And you can kindly stop the rotation now and just notice if there is any kind of tightness. So you need not fix it, just observe it. Right? Now let us bring our attention to our shoulders. You are not supposed to lift your shoulders or something. Simply, well, let your hands rest on your thighs only. We just do a simple shoulder rotation, taking it up, back, and then releasing it down. So we'll repeat it for 2 more rounds, lifting it up gently, taking it back, and releasing it down. We'll go for one more time clockwise. Wonderful. And let us just do 2 rounds of anti-clockwise, lifting it from the back up and bringing it forward. Let us continue doing it. Beautiful. Just make sure that you keep your shoulders relaxed. Do not create any tension in your shoulders. Wonderful. And now you may slowly relax. Just stay where you are, keeping your eyes closed. We'll just take a deep breath in and breathe out slowly and completely. One last time, we'll take one slow deep breath in and then breathe out slowly and completely. And just notice how even a few moments of slowing down can actually begin to change the way you feel. So in case your eyes are closed, you may gently open your eyes, slowly and gently open your eyes. Alright, great. I hope everybody has opened their eyes. So see, it's like sometimes the body doesn't need more effort. Okay, it just needs a few moments of safety and where you tell your body that it's safe. You can, so everybody can just show me for whom I can see. You can hear me, right? As I'm just talking. How was it? I hope everybody.
Everybody is showing double thumbs up, I can see, yeah.
Alright, great. I hope
And
everybody is
Amit
smiling
sir
as
is
well.
about to get up, but बैठे रहो कोई बात नहीं. Great. Wonderful, wonderful, Roshni, wonderful.
Okay,
And that's a
thank
brilliant
you.
start for the session, I must say. But
Thank you.
Roshni, going ahead, going
Yeah.
further than what we just saw and what we just kind of, discussed about, aggressive workouts can worsen hormonal stress. Am I right?
Yeah, true that. So one common pattern that I generally see is that when women kind of feel changes in your body, when they start noticing, they try to push harder, more workouts,
Yeah.
more intensity. But during perimenopause, during this phase, the body is already dealing with a lot of hormonal fluctuations. Now, these fluctuations increase something called as cortisol sensitivity, which means the body becomes more reactive to stress. Now, here's the important part that high intensity workouts are also a form of stress. So, when you are in a stable phase, the body recovers well. But during hormonal transitions, these recoveries kind of become slower. So, instead of helping, these excessive intensity can kind of increase fatigue, disturb your sleep, increase inflammation in your body, and even worsen your mood swings. And on the other hand, the kind of slow, mindful movement, they work differently. So when the movement is slow and connected with breath, your muscles tend to relax instead of tightening. That's really very important, okay? Your heart rate stays regulated and your nervous system stays balanced. And when you combine these movements with breath, you are not just exercising the body, you're kind of regulating the nervous system. I generally say this to people, to my students as well, that when you are practicing Hannah, and when even if you are able to bring those 2 to 3 seconds Hannah present in the present moment, Hannah, using breath as an anchor, you will experience no other emotion but only happiness. I know it takes a lot of practice, Hannah, to bring yourself 100% in the present moment, but it's a very powerful, beautiful feeling, and it increases your awareness notches up. Okay, so So of course, when your breath slows down, and it also signals, and they kind of go from your lungs to your brain, and your brain reduces the alert mode. So your body shifts from the sympathetic nervous system, which is kind of a fight or a flight response, to a parasympathetic nervous system, which is kind of getting into a rest and a recovery mode. And that's why slow movement works better in this phase. It's not about doing less. So when I say slow, it is not about doing less. It's about doing what your body can recover from easily.
Now just imagine, that's what I told you in the beginning. We are discussing perimenopause, we are discussing hard facts, but Roshni is smiling. Roshni, hats off to you, buddy. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love that energy of yours, the way you start. So she runs something called as a 5 a.m. challenge every morning. And she makes sure that everybody else also starts the day with the same smile that she is, right? So when
Yeah.
you do so much of inner work, this is what starts to happen. Even when you're talking about hormonal changes and perimenopause and the hard facts of life, that smile does not leave you. So thank you so much and
Thank
God
you.
bless you with that beautiful
Yeah.
smile of yours. But
Thank you, Hamid.
before I let you go for this segment, I have another I have another question for you. Breath and nervous system regulation. How important is this? Why do we need to cater to this?
So see, as I said, okay, the way you breathe, Hannah, it kind of directly impacts your nervous system. Okay, so just to give you a simple example, we connect with the nature. So if you see dogs, Hannah, they kind of do shallow breathing, and we all know the number of years the dogs live, the span of their life, 12, 15, 20 years, as compared to a tortoise. Okay, so tortoise does a slow breathing, kind of taking minutes and to take one breath. So when we are using all these breathing techniques, and as we learn in yoga also pranayama, so pranayama is a different thing, but we use breathing techniques to practice pranayama. So when we are regularly using those practices and regularly practicing such kind of breathing techniques, you tend to identify, Hannah, your breath tends to get more slower and more deeper. Okay, and when you are in when you are able to be in that phase for the majority part of your day, that is when, Hannah, you have your parasympathetic nervous system active. Otherwise, most of the times we all have a sympathetic nervous system. We all are like ready to fight and fight, Hannah. So that is what we all are going through. But when you're it's my personal experience, when you practice more of these breathing techniques, and you are more into that stage of awareness, you're more calmer, and your nervous system is more regulated. And when your nervous system is regulated, what signal it gives to your body? That you are safe. And when you are safe, you don't tend to, tighten your body parts. So I generally tell this example. So if even when you are sitting, if you are aware, you will observe, Hannah, that sometimes your shoulders are slowly and gently lifting up. You tighten your hips. So these are all the signals, and that your sympathetic nervous system is active. So you need to relax that by adopting any of the breathing techniques, and you can just slow down. Okay, by focusing on your breath, and you can kind of slow down. You can balance and regulate your nervous system. That actually helps you in further relaxing and having that calmer nature, and basically a lot of higher awareness.
So, you know, Dr. Arya, Dr. Radhika, when we were practicing this session earlier, like what we did mock podcast and mock panels, we were so very rigid. How will we do it? You know, cut to cut, 5 minutes here, 7 minutes there. After that, nobody speaks. I'll switch off your mic. You will switch off my mic. And now I realize it's all going so very, so very smoothly. It doesn't feel as if we are talking about perimenopause. Now coming back to the more serious stuff. And to talk about the more serious stuff, I've got somebody joining us all the way from Dubai. Just imagine. With all this happening, she still took time. Samira Adanji. Samira,
Thanks.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us in all this turmoil. And she brings a long experience with her. She's a gut health specialist. She's a SIBO specialist. We hear a lot about gut brain axis, gut hormone connection. What is all this? Just simplify things, Samira.
Thank you. Lovely to meet everyone. Thank you, Harmanjeet. So, you have all probably heard of the famous phrase, all disease begins in the gut. That was coined by Hippocrates a long time ago, a few thousand years ago. And the logic and rationale behind that cliche statement is that the gut is responsible for so much more than just the digestion and the absorption of our food. That is obviously one of its key and critical functions. But it is also involved in a host of different other factors. And one of these is the gut-brain connection, which Harmanjeet has just referred to. And essentially what that is referring to is the constant chatter that is happening between the gut and the brain and the brain and the gut. There is a bi-directional communication pathway that is happening constantly and every day. And there are twice as many messages being sent from the gut to the brain than from the brain to the gut. Now, in practical terms, what does all of this mean? Well, for example, if you are having gut issues, which could be bloating or constipation or indigestion or whatever it might be, for a while, it's going to be sending messages to your brain. And those kind of messages, if the gut is not feeling well and it is in that kind of a state, it will be sending signals to the brain such as, I'm tired, I have brain fog, I'm not motivated to do that, I don't want to go there, I don't have the confidence to attend that event this evening. Your mental resilience can break down. And this is also very, very relevant for people going through the perimenopause, menopause stage, because as has been really well articulated thus far, when you are in this phase, you're already in a higher state of anxiety and a higher state of stress. So it's really important that the signaling pathways and the communication that's happening from the gut to the brain and the brain to the gut is not making it worse. So around 70 to 90% the research differs of the hormone that makes us feel good, called serotonin, is produced actually in the gut. So that is a staggering percentage, and that just in itself demonstrates how when your gut is happy, you are happy, so to speak. So it's really important to understand it from that perspective. And if we take it back to the signals that are being sent from the brain to the gut, it's important to just be mindful of the fact that digestion actually does not begin when we take our first bite of food. It happens way before. Digestion begins in the brain and in the anticipation of food. So, and in order to be in a good state of anticipating food and preparing and priming the body to be able to digest it properly, we need to be, as Roshani just indicated, in a kind of rest and digest state, or in a parasympathetic state. Because usually a brain tells our body it's time to prepare. Look, food is coming. I can smell that beautiful aroma that's being cooked. My stomach is starting to rumbling with anticipation and joy of eating that meal. Let's start releasing those enzymes. Let's start releasing those juices. That switch comes on, the light bulb comes on, it becomes activated. It's like putting on the washing machine and saying go. So that whole cascade of functions, and there's a whole complex number of different functions that happen, that gets lit when you're in that so-called cephalic state, which is the state when you're in that rest and digest in anticipation of the food. So you really also need to be in a relaxed manner when you're eating for that to be working effectively. So that means, not kind of, ideally, of course, we live in the real world, but not constantly on your computer, inhaling food down, and just really taking time, 20, 30 minutes to separate your meal time from whatever else that you're doing. And again, that's really important with the perimenopause, menopause stage, because we are usually in a heightened sense of anxiety, especially in the early stages. And so it's really also important to be mindful that we eat in a certain style that will support us and not make us worse, let's say. And the other factor I just wanted to mention is that there's quite a bit of research that's actually been done on the health of the gut of women that are in the perimenopause stage. So we have trillions of different bacteria in our gut, and essentially they need to be balanced. You don't want some of them to be too high, you don't want some of them to be too low. They should have a fairly healthy equilibrium, ideally speaking. And what has been found in a number of clinical control studies is that for some women, when they're going through the perimenopause stage, that becomes imbalanced. And hence they start experiencing digestive symptoms that they did not experience otherwise before, or if they did, it was minor. And it's not because of the food they're eating, they're not doing anything different, it's because that balance has been shifted. And being aware of that is really helpful, because they know why that's happening, and then they can take the necessary steps to try and minimize that. And lastly, the other thing is that a lot of women take things like progesterone to support them as part of their HRT, etc. Which is fantastic. But I've also dealt with a couple of people who are experiencing things like constipation as a result of taking these medications. But it's helping them, and they feel much better. Their mood is much better, and that's because some of these hormones can also affect the gut. So progesterone slows things down, makes you feel calm. It also slows down your gut motility in some cases, so it can cause constipation. So again, being aware of that and knowing that, they're like, okay, this is why I'm feeling more uncomfortable, etc. It's because of this, and so they're not going to stop the progesterone, but they can take steps and eat certain foods to support that. And lastly, just wanted to touch upon a topic called SIBO without going into too much detail, because that's a separate topic in itself, and I'm a specialist. I suffered from it for many years, so I'm very passionate about it. But SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and basically what it means is bacteria is in the wrong place. It should be in the large intestine, the colon, and not in the small intestine. And what can happen if you've got bacteria in the small intestine where most of the food is being absorbed? You can experience excessive bloating. People feel like they're 3 months pregnant, and my stomach was out here. I was usually normal weight, etc. And a whole host of other unpleasant digestive symptoms, let's just say. And the importance of that is that IBS, which is a term some of you may have heard of, which is irritable bowel syndrome, is a very generic umbrella term. It literally means there's irritation in your gut, and it doesn't, and two people can have IBS and have completely different symptoms. So just saying you have IBS is very generic and not very helpful, because you don't really know how to directly and specifically support it. And SIBO is around 60 to 70% of people who have IBS have SIBO. So that's just the point I wanted to make people aware about, is that if you are having chronic digestive issues, excessive bloating, etc., maybe get yourself tested and see if you have SIBO. Then at least you know what you are dealing with, and then there's a protocol, which is the dietary restrictions that loosen up over time, supplementation, because it cannot be just dealt with purely by diet. You need to support the digestive tract. It's like having a car with 2 tires instead of 4 that are working properly. You need to get them all working so that you can start moving properly. So it's not all just about what you eat, it's about you having the toolkit to be able to absorb it, digest it, etc. And then also the third factor is all the factors related to sleep and stress that also directly correlate to this.
So one thing I would want you to notice here is, since Samira, is a gut health specialist, her gut is in order. And that's why her skin is so glowing. You've got absolutely fantastic skin, I must say, Samira.
Thank you. That's probably a bit of the makeup I'm wearing, but thank you, Amarjeet. No, thank you. And I would just note on that point, my gut is substantially better, so yes, but I am IBS sensitive. And when I say I'm IBS sensitive, I do get flare-ups. I am sensitive, and I've accepted that. And there are times when I'm under stress, because life happens, and sometimes something, you hit a curveball, or your sleep. I'm going through perimenopause, so I know directly how that can be. But I know what to do. and I know why it's happening. And being armed with that knowledge is, I think, really, really powerful, because I don't stress anymore when my gut, if it does have a flare up, I know why it's happening, I know how to deal with it, and then it goes away. So I think that is really key. Sometimes if people have gut issues, you don't take a pill and you're good forever, right? But you can manage it to the point where you almost forget you ever had gut issues. I think that's just a useful
And
add-on.
that's what brings me to the next guest with equally good skin, I must say. Uma. Uma, you're looking beautiful
Hi,
again.
thank you so much, and welcome
And
everybody. Thank you for having me.
now, with all this talk about, perimenopause and the stress and how do you relate to the stress, there's something else that we need to speak about. What is happening on the subtler levels, on the energy levels? So you practice energy healing, you practice energy medicine. Some of us won't even know about what energy medicine is. So I would want you to start with explaining what is energy medicine? What do you do there? What is happening?
Okay, to start, let me introduce you to the different dimensions of your being. Already, we have met the physical body. We've spoken a lot about the gut and the hormonal changes. And this is linked also to the second dimension of your being, which is your mind. This is where your psychology is, your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. And these two dimensions are in constant conversation with each other. But there is another dimension that we don't pay as much attention to, and that is your energy field. So, this is the third dimension of your being. We are all surrounded by an energy field. And before you even utter a word, energy fields are communicating, whether that be online or in person. Because the thing about the field state is it is not, it's not in that state of matter, it's not as dense as your physical body. It is a quantum field. So it exists out of time and space, but it's communicating all the time. This is your energy field that stores everything you have experienced, or everything that you've experienced, like your trauma, your upbringing. It all sits there in that energy field, which is why when we have a memory pop up, it can sometimes create nervous system dysregulation and bring out that stress hormone, and you will feel like you are experiencing that traumatic event all over again. You might even feel frozen. So this is how it works. And when we work in the energy field, we're working to clear out those dense energies that sometimes create blockages. Like sometimes you wouldn't understand why. There's like a threshold for you. There's like a ceiling. Because energetically, there's something, and this could even be passed down generationally, that is preventing you. It exists there in your subconscious, and it literally dictates everything that's going on in your life. And the thing about us is that we are cyclical beings. We're just like nature, we come from nature. There's death and rebirth cycles throughout our lives. In fact, when you go to sleep at night and wake up the next morning, it is like a mini death and a rebirth. And so, this perimenopause, moving into menopause, is the next cycle of a woman. But we tend to resist it because anything that is new to us is a bit scary. It's that we don't know anything about it. And so, hormonally, there's a lot taking place. in your mind, right on the brain level, there's a lot taking place. But here in your daily life, it's very difficult to change and adapt to all of these things that we feel like we're not in control of because we've become very set in our ways. And for a woman, this is a threshold. Your first threshold was that moving out of being the little girl or the maiden in puberty, where you now move into the archetype of mother, because now you can bear children. So this is the next threshold that is moving us in towards that crone, the wise woman, the grandmother, typically, right? And this is whether you have children or not. It is an energetic change that is going to take place for you. And when we resist this, we tend to hold. And when you hold, you block energy flow. Energy must flow to keep you healthy. And so you have, let me just explain what the energy field is like. You have a column that is moving through the center of your body. And that column is controlled and communicating with the other dimensions of you via your spinal cord and your nervous system. This is where the electrical impulses are. And the language of your energy field is frequency. It is that feeling. You feel it. We all know that feeling when you step into a room and you immediately feel your energy drained. Or just like with Roshni, we felt our energy pick up because that's her energy. And that is transmitted here, even out of space and time. I felt her energy all the way in South Africa. So that is what we mean by the quantum field. It is not something that you can change and it manifests slowly into matter, but it begins there. And so when you change something at the energetic level, you will see the manifestations in the body and in the mind. And when we look now as us like moving here, basically it's a rainbow body. It is that white light that enters the crown of your head and splits into the spectrum of light along your energy centers, that each one is responsible for different areas of your life, and it matches up with the area of the body in which it's sitting, that hormone system, that organ system. For example, when we store a lot of trauma, maybe through birth or pregnancy, it sits around that sacral area, which is all around your reproductive system. And in that space, if you have a blockage there, then you struggle creatively. You struggle because this is the place of your creation. And then similarly, like we were talking about the digestive issues on an energetic level, when we suffer with digestive issues, we are struggling to digest life on some level. And so naturally that will send us like into cravings of certain things, seeking this regulation and seeking that energetic balance that we can't find in our external worlds. And once we start paying attention to our energy fields, we take back our power. And in this time where we're moving into that wise woman, we've lived more years and we've learned more. This is where we generally are passing down knowledge. We need to step into our power. So actually, all of the change, the hormonal changes that can be so scary. I myself am experiencing a lot of them now. If we start to give into the flow, kind of surrender to it, and expand in with curiosity, then what is this next phase bringing us? What lies on the other side now, where my power is going to come more from within, rather than it's shifting from serving the external world a lot, but from drinking now from our own cups and then giving from that overflow that we are used to, where us women as caregivers, it's natural for us to care and to put others first. And now it's that time where we move into giving ourselves some of that love that we've been giving out so abundantly. And here, it's so important that we start protecting our energy, because you can never control the world around you, but you can definitely control your own energy. And this is so important so that you don't feel drained and so that you can move through this period and actually come out as that extremely empowered person on the other side. And I would
That's
like
so
to
brilliant.
share an energy
Brilliant.
container.
Yeah, yeah. Uma, that's so brilliant that you put it so nicely. And what better when we've got somebody who is also into energy healing. He's into meditation. I have been following his meditation. He is Mr. Prem Ojha. He is known as the broadband man of India. And Aradhana ma'am, thank you so much for making space in your busy schedule to have joined us. Thank you so much, Uma, for explaining energy healing to this depth. You've really done a beautiful talk here. Now, Dr. Radhika, turning to you. We've learned about basics of yoga, basics of what perimenopause is, basics of energy healing. Just touch the surface as of now. What do you think is midlife crisis in your opinion? We hear about all this midlife crisis. We hear about all this talk about midlife crisis in men and women. What is this, and especially during perimenopause?
Good evening, everyone. I thank everyone to be here in discussion of such a powerful chapter in our lives. I'll start with wanting everyone to imagine a regular midlife scenario in everyone's house. In the evening, everyone is settled, dinner is over, everyone is in their workplaces, in their own enjoyment zones, and all of a sudden, the wife or the mother will have a blast of rage, over things like, why did you breathe like that? Why did the child put the cup over there? Why did the husband not do something four days back that she had already told in the manner that she had told? So these are some things that we normally go through. Now, what is happening with perimenopause and the hormones? This is the model of the fist model of the brain. The thumb is your emotional center. It's your memory. It's everything that is happening inside. The cover is your logic brain. So when estrogen starts falling, our serotonin and dopamine start falling, which Shulba ma'am has already told us that it starts falling. Now what is happening? Your amygdala, which is your alarm center, it becomes hypersensitive. Only because the serotonin and dopamine along with your testosterone, which is falling, it needs to cover your emotional brain and present logic. Like, if a tire, there's at night, if there's rustling in the house somewhere, some sound, so your brain, your emotional brain tells, oh my God, some intruder has come. So your logic brain intrudes and it says that it's nothing like that. It's just sound. Maybe a child is in the room or it's in the kitchen, something. So it calms you down. It slows down the alert reaction. What is happening is, it's like the connection is loose. So what is happening is, it's like a car with full accelerator pressed, but your braking system is slowed down and it's degrading. So what is happening? Your female, the woman in the house, she's all the time alert. She's all the time in stress with high cortisol levels. She is too much not able to understand what is happening with her body, like gut health is going for a toss. Your overall energy system, it's like a holistic system. It is all hampered. But midlife crisis, you are two people, you are married. What I want to highlight over here is, we are two people in the relationship, both are aging, both are having hormonal shifts. Women are going through perimenopause, which is more erratic. Men are going through andropause, which is downgraded as irritable men syndrome, wherein their testosterone levels are also falling. But yes, for them, it's more of a steady decline. What is happening is both male and female, they interpret these changes, these drop in energy levels, this slow down in understanding their emotional states differently because of the societal upbringing that we both have are different. So women are more like husband, they are blaming the husband. You do not support me, you are not there. She's more irritable, she's more short tempered, she becomes withdrawn, she feels abandoned. What the husband is going through is she does not understand me, she's not attracted to me anymore. He goes through a lot of performance anxiety and he withdraws in his own shell. So what needs to be done is a lot of relational adjustment that is required, and a lot of societal recalibration is required, because female with perimenopause, to put the last nail in the coffin, libido is completely, reduced, which physical intimacy is very much crucial for males. But with females, their libido is not allowing them to connect physically. So this is another issue that comes, which makes the husband feel that she's not attracted to me anymore. So both of them feel abandoned. They are blaming each other. They are, going in that vicious cycle. What is required is, at the societal level, we need to re-understand and we need to break the silence with more of such discussions and such talks. We need to reframe the stories that perimenopause or hitting menopause is not something that the female is becoming useless because she cannot reproduce. It should be more considered into an overpowering and an empowerment process for both males and females. Also,
Absolutely. And that's a very valid point you've made, Dr. Radhika. Now, what usually starts to happen is, at this particular time, at this junction, husband and wife, they move away into their own silent corners. And children are watching all this. So then children are learning that this is how adults love each other. Silence becomes the language of love. And can you believe it, that there is a continuous feed into the young children that yes, this is how you're supposed to build families, this is how you're supposed to have relationships, and this is how mama papa behave. So probably when I become a mama and when I become a papa, this is how it should be for my family as well. And it's very important to look at the other gender with a due, I would say, respect of what is happening with them. So it's important for us not to have just core health talks, but these talks as well in the family. I'm sorry, I'm taking that last bit of spark from your talk, but
no,
yes,
it's what we called as the silent rift, and it is very crucial to address it. Relational adjustments in the terms of talking. You label what you're going through. You explicitly state to your partner. It will help what we create in couple counseling as soft landings. You tell the other person, you shift from you to I statements. Tell that I am overwhelmed, I need space. The other person will understand and give you that space. That is very much required. So the shift from the term that you used, what is required at the societal level is, instead of using midlife crisis, what we need to use is, this is the phase of midlife empowerment, where you are building the story, you are the author of the next chapter that is coming towards you.
so you create the story that you want to tell to your next generation. Right, Prem sir? Now, again, a very important aspect here. We've spoken about silence. We've spoken about how adults have started to construe each other's struggles. Yes, a man would understand that my wife is going through some problem. But what do you do with that? So, one of the podcasts that we did, I think about last year, that was with somebody, Dr. Damon Jones. She joined us from Washington, D.C. And she gave me a fabulous framework. She says, Harman, I want to tell the world through your podcast that you need to decompress when you come back home. And we will talk about that decompress in this session today. Uma will tell us about decompressing. But now, if you realize that when you are in the office and when you are struggling with all the hassles of the day in the office and life is happening to you, as I always say, when जब लाइफ की मशीन चल रही होती है, वॉशिंग मशीन, और आप उसमें धुल रहे हो, so you can't just come back dripping wet back home. You have to decompress somewhere before you enter. So today I'll ask Uma after this particular segment. Now coming to you, Dr. Arya. We have learned that yes, these things are going to happen. These episodes will happen. Something of this order will happen. How do you think what is the importance of preventive care, not only in women's health, but in general?
Yeah. So, thank you once again. And before I begin talking about preventive health, I want to just connect a few dots here. For a third person, maybe the entire thing may be looking patchy. Right now, we talked about gut health, we talked about energy healing, we talked about what perimenopause is, what are midlife shifts. But let me tell you, this is all very, very much connected. In my section, I talked about stress regulation, and Roshni did exactly that in the next segment. She helped you, just those 5 minutes of grounding exercises can bring you back immediately from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic. And that helps in your grounding immediately. Whenever you are stressed, you can just take 2 minutes out and you can do that. Then gut health is very, very essential in perimenopause because your gut health is fortuitous. There are changes, no denying about that, and those changes also impact your hormonal health because 60% of your estrogen, it gets flushed out unused. And if we are able to manage our nutrition in a way that we are able to retain that estrogen in our body, we can avoid a lot of symptoms. So gut health is again very important. Then energy is a very, very important component of every person's life. How the frequency at which we are vibrating at is what decides how our days and how our emotions turn out to be. So energy plays a very, very important role, whether or not we know about it or not, but it's always playing in the background. Then the midlife shifts that Radhika talked about, they have a very, very important role in our everyday life. We are seeing it in terms of our workplace changes that are happening because of the changes that we are undergoing internally. We are not able to give our best at our workplace. We are not able to give our best in our relationship. And the key to improving it all is just one simple thing, is communication. When we learn to communicate our problems more openly and taking the responsibility of, I am going through this, the people around you will definitely support you more. So yes, having said all of this, there is a side to it that we need to know. We are talking about awareness here. So awareness is the first prescription, you can call it. So when you are aware of the shifts, then you also are aware of what is to be done. And prevention is exactly that. Prevention is your first step that you can take before something happens, before abhi, right at this stage, whatever you are experiencing are just whispers, but there comes a day when your body starts shouting, and between this whisper and the shout is where the prevention lies. So that is why it is very important to learn to understand what is going on, to be self aware of your body, and to recognize whatever changes, simple changes are there, to become aware of them, to discuss them with your peers, to discuss them with your medical practitioners, and uh, get some tests done. There are a lot of, the science has advanced, so there are a lot of tests that you can get done to become aware and to stop the disease from progressing. So when a woman is undergoing, men, women, they are all undergoing hormonal and biological shifts. And this metabolism, as you advance in years, also changes. So with that, it brings a lot of measurable risks. And these risk factors are definitely increasing with the change in the environment, with the change in the food, with the change in the things that are happening around us. So we need to become more aware at this particular time of what tests that we can do on a regular basis, get done on a regular basis, that will help us uh, catch hold of the problem that might arrive at our door sometime in the future. So before we begin, this very, very simple test is, one is for females, breast self-examination, available at your own convenience, at your own home, by yourself. You can do breast self-examination every couple of months in front of the mirror. And that really helps you catch any kind of signal that your body might be showing early on. Then mammograms after the age of 35 are extremely essential annually. Simple pap smear test doesn't take more than 2 minutes for a doctor to do a pap smear, will avoid a lot of problem in future if you go for an annual pap smear test. So these are some of the tests that for females to recognize diseases like cancer. But what about others, metabolic diseases like cardiovascular health? You can get a simple ECG annually, very easy, simple, low cost. Blood examinations, your normal CBC profile, your lipid profile, your thyroid profile, your fasting glucose, your insulin levels, your simple vitamin D, vitamin B12 levels, they will help you assess your body where you are at any particular point of time. So these tests, they, even males, this is common for males and females. For males, they can get a simple PSA test done as well annually. In females, on the other hand, I want to talk about three very, very common cancers that are rising in females after the age of 35. Now it is the cancer is no longer at a stage where you wait a person to turn 50 or 55 and then only you need to become conscious. We are having cases after the age of 35. So the most common ones are your breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and your endometrial cancers that we see in females. So breast, as I said, breast self-examination and your mammogram will help you detect them early. For your cervical cancer, a simple pap smear is good enough. For your ovarian cancer, it goes undetected for a very, very long time because it's a very, very silent disease. It's like only when it progresses to the tip of the iceberg that you become aware of the symptoms underlying the problem goes on for years. So to rule that out, a simple CA125 is very effective. And simple signs that could signal some kind of discomfort is your bloating, your pelvic discomfort, your irregular bleeding cycles, or any changes in your bowel movement. So whenever you have them, a simple ultrasonogram could be helpful. So you can go for a simple sonogram, that would be good. And for endometrial cancers, the signs that you could look for is your bleeding in between your cycles. And for women who are menopausal, you again start to bleed. So any changes in your bleeding, you need to get a simple sonography will tell you if there are any changes that you need to worry about. Then coming to the hormonal, if you want, I can cover the HRTs also here right away. I'll just take 2 more minutes. So I want to talk about the HRTs because we have been discussing perimenopause, menopause, and I see a lot of fear around hormonal therapies. Recently, the black label has been removed, but still, people are not very sure. They have some fears so far as hormonal therapies are concerned. So, yes, in 2002, there was a study that was published in Women Initiative. Study was published that said that estrogen and progesterone therapy given over the age of 60 causes breast cancer, increased risk of breast cancer. But the recent evidence, it suggests that when hormonal therapies are started within 10 years of menopause, in candidates, pre-evaluation definitely is very, very important. It gives a lot more benefit than harm. So definitely, it's not one size fits all. You need to get all your tests done and get yourself evaluated because definitely there are certain associations between the hormonal therapy and breast cancer, hormonal therapy and stroke, hormonal therapy and cardiovascular diseases. So in case you are any such candidate, if you have a history of breast cancer in the family, you need to get yourself evaluated. But having said that, females who have a lot of issue with sleep, anxiety, or mood swings, it has been seen that hormonal therapy definitely increases or betters your quality of life. So this is a risk benefit evaluation that you need to get checked on an individual level with your practitioner, and they are the ones who will be able to best suggest whether for your particular condition it's good or you need to avoid it. So thank you so much, Harmanji. Thank you.
Dr. Arya, what happens is that so many of us, we get scared just by listening the word, just by hearing the word cancer. Now, that's what me and Dr. Arya, we've been talking quite often about, and we've decided to work on this together, is that we want to explore where does this cancer, how does this cancer start? These three cancers. Is there a definite link between early onset of puberty, early onset of perimenopause, extended, painful, dramatic perimenopause, PCOS rising, so
So
many cases?
yes, there was a definite association between PCOS and increased risk of endometrial cancer. If you remember, we had that
Absolutely.
conversation. But yes, it has
Absolutely.
not been proven for breast and ovarian. But definitely for PCOS, the more estrogen exposure the ovaries get, the more estrogen exposure your uterus gets. There is an increased
So
association of
estrogen overexposure
over
is
related to
related to breast
yes,
cancer. That
yes,
has been
and that is also
established.
one of the reasons because hormonal therapies are people look at them with fear because again their hormonal therapies are estrogen or
Yes.
progesterone based. So
Yes.
when they increase your exposure to estrogen or to progesterone, the receptors in the body might act differently and may lead to
So
cancer.
that is what is required nowadays, is that we need to start these conversations and let's see where these conversations lead to. There has not been any research till now, and I'm sure that such conversations will prompt some organizations to at least start this research. And that's, I'm so thankful to Dr. Arya, who's actually at the hem of having these particular researches, and she's really working towards this awareness. Next, I want to a very quick segment with Roshni again. Roshni, I'll just put you on the main screen with, and she really brings in the energy with her. Roshni,
Yeah.
I would want you to start by explaining us a realistic, more of a realistic, no fancy, nothing, no, you know, big words, jargons, nothing of that sort. But what is an ideal 5 odd minutes yoga routine that everybody should follow? Be it perimenopause, be it hormonal issues, be it a young child.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, thanks. Thanks for nodding. All right. So I can't hear
Old
how much.
person. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you
Just
hear
go
me?
ahead.
Okay,
Roshni.
great, great.
Yeah.
So thanks for that question, Harmanjit, and it was really pleasure listening to all the beautiful ladies sharing. What I feel from a lot of women I talk with, they don't struggle with knowing what to do. They struggle with doing it regularly. And the reason I believe is not discipline. I believe it's more to do with the biology, with the kind of lifestyle that they are having. And when their routines are kind of long and complex, the brain perceives them as effort heavy. है ना, बहुत मेहनत करना पड़ेगा. And anything that feels heavy, the brain avoids. Because brain wants you to be, है ना, the brain wants to protect you. It's not that brain is against us, but it is devised for survival. And this is how inconsistency begins. Now, here's what works better, right? Small repeatable actions. So because the brain builds habits through repetition and not intensity. Now, every time you repeat a small action, you strengthen a neural pathway. And over time, this action becomes automatic. So instead of taking out those 30-40 minutes, which you feel you keep procrastinating, you will do it some other day, or on a Monday, or on 1st January, it's better to start with a 5 to 10 minute routine, which is more sustainable. And and the body responds more to regularity, है ना? There's something which is more familiar than the duration of it. Now here's a simple structure. So I'm just sharing one of the structures. You can modify it in any way that you like. So the first thing is that you start with 2 minutes of centering, breath centering. Now that helps you to bring yourself physically, mentally, emotionally in the present moment, and it calms your nervous system. And then you do some 4 to 5 minutes or 6 to 8 minutes of movement. So you can start with gentle warm-ups, kind of working on relaxing all the joints, and as beautifully pointed out by Dr. Shilpa regarding the strength training, because I believe everybody of us have this goal that I generally say this to my students, that we all have this goal, and okay, we want to do our task independently till we breathe last. And for that, it's really very important, Hannah, that we start with strength training. And of course, the movements that you do, be it the warm-ups or the beginner-friendly asanas, they kind of improve the circulation and the joint mobility in your body. And then once you are done with breath centering, with the movements, towards the end, you can kind of end it with 2 minutes of stillness. It can be a relaxation technique like Shavasana, or even a guided meditation. There are not many meditation videos that you can listen to. So this actually allows the body to integrate the entire practice that you have done till now. Now, why is this routine or this structure powerful? Because the breathing, the breath centering that you do, Hannah, it kinds of, as I said, regulates the nervous system, it reduces the stress signals, and the movements that you do, it improves the blood flow and the energy. And the stillness towards the end, the relaxation that you do, it improves the mental clarity. And now this entire combination kind of supports better sleep, good mood, better mood, and better hormonal balance over time. So, see, you can also adjust the above routine based on your day. For example, if your energy is low, you can keep it slower and softer. And if you are short on time, I feel even 5 minutes is enough. The most important thing is to show up and not skip. And the idea is not to follow a fixed routine, but to have a structure. Because when you have a structure, your brain won't negotiate. Should I do it now? Should I do it later? Should we do it tomorrow? So it's very important to have a structure that adapts to your life. Okay, and I always say this, that consistency is not at all about motivation. It's about having a structure that survives real life. Real is also not the right word, but it survives life, and that's exactly what I help women build: a calm, simple routine that they can actually follow every day. Because a simple routine done daily trains the body to feel stable and to feel calmer again. Yeah, so that is it from my side.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful.
Thank
Now,
you.
since you mentioned calm state of being and that mental state where you're in a very calm phase, I've asked Japita to prepare some lavender tea,
Wow,
not
we
to
are
put
missing
you off
that.
to sleep, not to put you off to sleep, but yes, this is something which is very important. I was just, you know, during this whole conversation, I have been getting a vibe that yes, when these conversations start to be normalized, when such grave topics they start to be normalized, the energy of the room automatically goes high. Am I right,
Yes.
Archana? Am I right? Yeah. Not just because I'm sitting on this chair, but just for the very fact that I can somehow relate to energies. I'm sure you would be able to do that as well. You know? So good that we are having these conversations and good that we are normalizing these conversations. Sir, you are the monitor of energy healing in our area. And I'm so glad that you have joined. So by monitor, what I mean to say is that he perceives energies and he somehow, agar aap inke ghar jao, and he has a beautiful meditation room, so just by sitting in that room, you automatically ground. There's no grounding exercise that you need to do. So we've been there. We've been doing quite a lot of work there, but a beautiful, beautiful energy that you showcase there, sir. I would want to continue with Samira. Samira, I'm sorry, I'm a little clumsy
Sorry,
today.
it's on mute.
Yeah. So Samira, we've seen how this whole conversation is revolving around more of energy and more of preventive care and more of yoga and holistic and less of the pharma stuff. But at the same time, I would want you to tell us a little bit about long term gut health, a long term plan that we can actually follow. And I'm sure one of our esteemed guests here, Professor Mann, he would agree to what you have to say. What's your opinion about that, Samira?
So I think, sorry, I've got a slight sore throat. In terms of overall long-term gut health, I think gut health has to be very personalized according to the individual and the condition. However, there are generally some overall tips that I think are applicable to most people that can definitely support their long-term gut health. And some of these are very practical tips that all of us can start doing. Number one is to learn to chew your food. And that might sound really obvious and really simple, but I myself have had to become much more mindful over the years of how long I take when I take a piece of food in my mouth. Do I swallow it or do I actually chew it? When you chew food slowly and properly, your saliva gets activated. That in itself releases enzymes, and there's a whole biochemical reaction that takes place that allows for proper digestion of food, can be really helpful in preventing bloating, can also support things like heartburn, etc. So don't inhale your food, chew your food. And if you've ever been to restaurants or you've been out observing people, and some people have a really beautiful, elegant way of eating. They put their fork down, they take little bites, and if you look at those people, they will always look good, they'll always be thin. I think at least that's from my observation, because culturally this has been indoctrinated to them through their mothers, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. Sometimes it's a cultural thing. But chewing your food is something that can be really beneficial. You can even start counting to 10. Ideally, it should be 20 when next time you eat something, and just see how long it takes you to eat. It can also help in weight loss because you end up eating less effectively. The second thing that I think is really important is the timing of food. So sometimes it's not just what we eat, but when we eat. And sorry. And the reason I say that is because the people I've dealt with who've suffered from various issues, and just by making little adjustments and not eating, for example, at 10 o'clock at night, can be really, really effective. We have a clock, just like animals have a clock. We have our own biological clock. And we are meant to kind of rise when the sun rises or thereabouts, and we're meant to kind of go to sleep, in the evening, a few hours after sunset, or, thereabouts. And we're not meant to eat and go to bed 2 hours later. We're much more insulin sensitive during the day. Our digestive toolkit is primed so that we eat our larger meals during light, when the sun is out. So timing of meal matters just as it does about what's on your plate. I think that's something we can all be mindful of. Of course, there will be times that we'll be out, work will come in, we can't plan our days, but in general, we can probably all try and eat a little bit earlier if we're eating at 10 o'clock at night, for example, which is still quite common. And then the other thing that I think is really important is just to be aware of processed food. I know there's a lot of social media noise around processed food. What does it actually mean? Most things are processed, and then we get ultra processed food. But next time you're in the supermarket and you're buying something from a packet, turn the packet around and look at the back of the ingredients. If it's got 20 to 30 ingredients, the first one, the second one, the third one might be salt or sugar, and they've got all these ingredients you don't recognize, put it back. Basically, we should be eating food as close to its natural state as possible. So if we're eating potato, our meal should look like it is a potato. Processed and ultra-processed food have a lot of added gums, a lot of added chemicals, and that is a huge issue for menopause, gut health, obesity, everything, essentially. So
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant take. That's a brilliant take, Samira. I mean, we just running a little short on time. I'm sorry, I have to cut you short abruptly. But then there's something which is very important that's we are wanting to, tell the audience about. And that's something that I wish Uma to tell us about. Uma, we spoke about decompression. I talked about why is it important, why should we decompress, but then again, all the talk left behind, how to do it, what do you do? I'll just ask you for a 5-minute version of the decompression exercise that we should do every day.
Okay, so firstly, when you have this heavy energy, you must, when you sense it, and we can all feel this, we can feel it when we feel tightness in our chest, we maybe feel tension here in the shoulders, in the neck, and that energy must be moved, because the longer you keep it, the worse it's going to get. So you have to find something that's going to suit you, that you love and you enjoy, so that you can consistently release this energy, because this is what will turn into imbalance, and it will turn into illness eventually, and those negative symptoms. So journaling, having a good cry. We all know how amazing we can feel after that big cry. And then moving in whatever way is comfortable for you. But there's another thing that you must do, and this is extremely important, to prevent that energy drain, is to protect your energy. And the tool that I use is the clasp your hands. You see, your heart is your organ of frequency. And when you bring your hands here to your heart center, and you can just, I invite everybody to try this now, just Place your feet on the ground, bring your palms together, close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Nice deep inhale, and then exhale. And as you do that, sense into your energy field. See if you can see any places you feel anxious or heavy. And take another inhale. And now, on the exhale, blow it all out. Blow out the anger, the anxiety, the fear. And as you do this, you clasp your hands, and now you imagine this beautiful bubble of light around you. And you don't even, in a practical situation, you don't even have to close your eyes. Just bringing your palms together here, it contains your field. It protects you, it creates beautiful wall and a boundary so that you now have control of what you let in. And then you choose, what are we going to consciously allow in? And this is something you can go to at any time, whenever you feel there's someone or some place that is draining your energy.
That's a
I just want you
brilliant
to
take.
sense how your
Brilliant,
energy
brilliant
feels.
take. Yeah. Yeah. You know, the other day, my wife says, she says, Arman, you don't have any lines on your face. I've got lines. She says, I've got lines that have started to emerge here and here. How come you don't have any lines on your face? I said, I don't smile much. And they are a witness to all the nonsense that I write. So it's all about grief and, you know, death and this, and that's what she told me the other day. She says, Harman, तुम कोई ढंग की चीज नहीं लिख सकते हो. Sara time, every time you're writing only on this. So now this is what connects to me very strongly, Uma. This connects to me very strongly. Why? Because I had not been decompressing. And it's only when I started realizing the importance of decompressing before you actually enter into your private space. That's the safe space, your house. On the 2nd of April, I'm doing a podcast which is about grief without a funeral. And I somehow attach a lot of that to this stage that women are going through. There is no funeral, but there is grief. How do we talk about that, Dr. Radhika? I mean, grief about what? Communication is silent in couples. Again, coming back to the same topic. Again, relating.
See, it's more about what women go through is they say, this is not me. I never reacted like this. I could do so much earlier. Why can't I do so much now? So it's the grief of losing oneself. You are evolving into a new person. You are recalibrating yourself. You as well as your husband. Again, coming back, there are two people in the relationship. So both of you are connected, but at this moment, there is so much of misunderstanding, there's so much of disconnect that you feel, that we tend to feel that, you know, we'll end up being a divorce statistic. So there's this fear of losing the relationship. You feel that there is a lot of fight going on. There is a lot of misunderstanding. The relationship is failing. The other person does not love me as much. They don't understand me anymore. So from a psychological standpoint, I would want to say that communication is at the base of everything. You will have to communicate. When you've reached this stage, you have been married for at least 10 to 15 years.
Right.
So you will have to find attraction beyond physical attraction. See, that novelty is gone. So you have to learn to be appreciative of the changes that the other person is feeling. Like if I am gaining weight, my husband can be curious about how am I feeling. He can be appreciative of it. he can compliment me instead of telling me that, you're gaining weight, you're looking, huge, your size is changing. Instead of saying that, say that, this new change in you is making you glow. Just compliment, appreciate. The same goes for the husbands also. This is the time where husbands tend to join the gym and carve out a nice body for themselves out of that, tendency of the fear that the wife is losing interest in me. So they get physically attractive. A lot of men start going to gym and they start working out very nice. They build their six-pack abs, which are so popular.
From family pack to six packs.
Yeah, so true. So, some things that I would want to highlight apart from this is I would request that communicate what you're going through, educate yourself, then educate your partner of what is going inside your mind, what is the feeling that you're going through. Be respectful and be respectable. By that, I mean that do not turn sarcasm and cover. Do not be sarcastic and say that I was just joking, it's just humor. That's disrespectful to your partner. Don't do that. Don't walk out on conversations. Be there for the other person. There are these small things that make a lot of difference. If suppose you are at a family gathering or at a party, you hold each other's hand and you walk in. You look into each other's eyes across the room and just do a visual check-in. These are small things which make the other person feel that, yes, I matter. I am there in the relationship. More importantly, what I've seen that works wonders in any kind of turbulent times is the 5-minute no solution rule that couples should follow. At the end of the day, each of you will get at least 5 minutes to just blab out your problems. The other person has to just listen, just to be there. You don't have to give a solution. I'm not asking for advice. I'm asking you to be my sounding board, my listening ear. That is all that is required. Most crucial of everything is repair. You've had a meltdown, you've blasted the other person like anything. Now, when you've calmed down and you've realized that this has happened, go back, acknowledge that you had this meltdown, say sorry, and work over it. Again, coming back
I
to
have, I
communication.
have, I have another layer to add to this. I hope we are not boring you, Dr. Seth. I have another layer to add to this. And I've been saying this for the last 16 years. I've been married for 16 years. And I always told my wife about this. We should always have a bag full of memories to fall back upon. Because in the end, in turbulent times, in difficult times, when I don't understand you and you don't understand me, we should have something to go back to and fetch out those things, those memories.
This reminds me of another thing that I always tell the couples who are having difficulties. Always plan ahead. Plan your next day, plan your week, plan your month, plan your year. Have at least one vacation. Because when you plan ahead, no one is compromising and definitely no one ends up sacrificing anything. You both come together, negotiate, and make sure that you are there for each other. So
Absolutely.
planning.
See, whatever your bag size is, number one, make sure that you have a very big size of the bag so that you can fill in quite a lot of memories. And those memories don't need to be curated. Lovely outings, curated dinners. They don't need to be.
They don't have to.
They just have to be a casual drive in the mountains.
Yes.
Ye Japita khadi hai, she is about almost as tall as me now. Whenever we used to make her sleep when she was just a small child, we used to drive all the way to Kasauli. And ये सोती जाती थी, सोती आती थी और उसके बाद आके फिर उठ जाती थी. So, but we have created such lovely memories. I still remember the songs that we used to hear. It was a Honda City we used to have at that time. But those memories will never come back. We will never have a chance to create those specific memories. Maybe better ones, maybe some other versions of it. So it's very important. As I mentioned, whatever makes you decompress. And with that, what a beautiful session it has been. Yeah. So I'll just finally cover the end bit of it. We were supposed to have a gratitude practice with Roshni. I'll ask her to record that practice and we will upload that on the YouTube channel. You can all access that. So this evening has been about perimenopause through many lenses: medicine, movement, gut health, energy, balance, and relationships. And perhaps the most important insight is this: perimenopause is not a breakdown. It is a transition that asks for awareness, support, and community. So I thank all the speakers. Thank you, Dr. Arya. Thank you, Dr. Radhika. And Roshni, thank you so much. I thank Samira from the bottom of my heart. She is courageous enough to join us in this turbulent times of ours. She is in Dubai. And I thank Uma for all the love, gratitude, and the energy she brought into this. So before we wrap this evening up, I've got a last message that I would not be giving, but my daughter would be. And she's been preparing for this for a long time. Come. There's this. You wanna have this? This big. 2 minutes. Last 2 minutes. After that, we're done. Yeah. And then after that, Dr. will be forced to support.
Good evening, everyone. Today we spoke about women's health, about care, about nurturing life. And I want to begin with something very small yet very powerful. Science tells us that when life begins, when a sperm meets an egg, there is a tiny flash of light called the zinc spark, a quiet signal that something has started. Months later, a child is born. It takes its first breath, sees its first light, and begins its journey. And then, at the other end of life, something equally profound happens. Studies have shown that just before death, the brain can release a sudden surge of activity. Some people describe it as a bright light, a final moment of awareness, a spark at the beginning, a light at the end, but in between, a lifetime. Here's a thought that stays with me. What if that light at the end is just not an ending? What if it can become someone else's beginning? Every year, thousands of people wait for an organ transplant. They are not waiting for a miracle. They are waiting for a decision. A decision that one life, even in its final moment, can continue in another. One donor can save up to 8 lives, 8 families, 8 stories, 8 futures. Imagine this: a heart that continues to beat, eyes that begin to see again, a life that was fading, finding its way back. This is not just medicine. This is humanity at its most beautiful. We often think of legacy as something we build over time: our work, our success, our name. But maybe, just maybe, the most meaningful legacy is not what we leave behind. It is what we leave within the world. As a student ambassador for Roto North India, I stand here with a simple request. Talk about organ donation. Think about it. Choose it. Because somewhere between that first spark of light and that final light, we are given a choice to let our story end with us or to let it continue quietly, beautifully in someone else's life. And what could be more human than that? Thank you.
I'm so glad, I'm really so glad that she has chosen, or God has chosen her for this role. This was a talk I was writing an article about reincarnation, and this is from that talk and that article that she has picked this up. That yes, this is the true reincarnation. You don't have to work around in mysteries and mystics about the universe, what happens, whether you want to come back or not, but actually just leave a legacy behind that continues to live beyond your life. So thank you so much, everybody who joined us. And I would want Dr. Mann, Professor Mann, to just say a few words. He wants to. Yeah.
I have one, two questions, and these questions are behalf of our clients from our brand. And first question is related to insulin resistance. Like when the estrogen drops down at the time of 45 plus or 42 plus, that time what happens? Normally body starts, metabolism slows down, and all that symptoms which gets appear. In our case, like when we are dealing with our diabetic customers, so they are saying that we are getting insulin resistance day by day and body starts storing fat, more fat. And in that case, how we can cater this kind of problems, how we can solve out the problem of our customer. As you know that we are also providing the low GI foods, less carbs, and we also insist our all the customer that your discipline, your diet plans, your normal workout, everything must be proper balanced. But I want to be your expert panels beyond that, that how the and my second question is related to some of our clients reported that at the age of 35, the menopause started. So why this is happening? Will in the coming years, does the westernized diet, our Indian community will feel any connection? More carbs, more salt intakes, more fat diets, and more westernized kind of diet when we are eating every day, and we have more sitting jobs. Our lifestyle is kind of completely sedentary. So, like, what is the connection that why the menopause is starting at the age of 35, and how we can naturally, can we reverse it? Can we take back to 42 plus age?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Mann, for asking these two questions. The first one is definitely very important. When your estrogen starts to fluctuate, as I said in the beginning also, so it's the only thing it impacts is not related to your reproduction or your periods. It is impacting every function in the body, and insulin resistance is also one of them. So, for a common layman, what insulin resistance means is जो इंसुलिन पहले हम लोगों का अगर मान लो 5 के बेटर नंबर लाइक सो 5 अगर 5 mg हमारा इंसुलिन लगता है एक्स काम को करने में अब हमारा 10 लगेगा 10 लगेगा so it has doubled for the same amount of work we need double the insulin that means body release कर रही है but it has to push harder so that is what insulin resistance is and to and it starts from the age of 35 when your estrogen starts to fluctuate slowly and slowly body is always god has given us such a beautiful mechanism that the body is always trying to overcompensate for all the changes that are happening which is why 35 पे आपको लगेगा नहीं कि कुछ दिक्कत आ रही है, 40 पे आपको लगेगा नहीं कुछ दिक्कत आ रही है, पर फिर सडनली 50 पे आपको यू कम आउट व्हेन यू गेट योर ब्लड टेस्ट, then you find yourself to be diabetic. But that change is not overnight change. That change has been happening for the last 10, 15 years, and which is why we are here today to talk about the changes that are happening but are not visible. So what simple things that you can do is, one thing is you are already doing the changes in your for women health. You are creating combinations that are very, very helpful in managing those changes. One is that. Now there is a very simple rule that every single person can follow. That is what I call the plate rule. If you a plate is round, half of your plate should be your vegetables, your salads, your vegetables. One fourth of it should be your proteins, and one fourth of it should be your carbs. So that is how, if you walk on that ratio, there's a chance that you will be able to avoid these issues for a very, very long time. Then there are other factors as well. Your genetics and all of those also influence. So that is why I said that there's a chance that you will be able to avoid these problems for a very long time. Then the second question that you asked was, sorry, can you repeat that question? Changes have started happening, yes. So, yes, we are already talking with Harman that the changes that, the hormonal changes, that even puberty is also starting early, which is why the menopause also you may see that is shifting early, definitely related to the environmental and the lifestyle changes. Which is why when we talk about perimenopause, I tell people that simple lifestyle shifts, your every single day determines how you are going to, your future is going to be at 50 or 60. So simple lifestyle changes, being mindful of what you are eating. uh, as Samira also mentioned in her section, when you pick up something, read the ingredients. So the more the ingredients are in something, put it back. The more processed the food is, put it back. The more refined the food is, put it back. The more sugar it has, put it back. The more this hydrogenated oils it has, put it back. So these are simple things that we need to become mindful of, even when your body is not showing any symptoms. ये changes हम लोगों को, in fact, I would say बचपन से ही we need to make these changes. We need to be mindful of what we are putting into our mouth. पहले, although the lifespan was less because of the detection problems, but आप ये देखेंगे कि जो लोग हम लोगों के घर में जो हमारे बड़े हैं, जो they have better health conditions as to what we will be having by the time we turn 60 or 70. I might be needing a walking stick by the time I reach 50, but my parents or my grandparents, I've seen them walking wholeheartedly everywhere, even when they were 90. My grandfather was like 90 when, and he would do every single thing because the air was fresh, the food was completely unadulterated, they were getting the best of organic food. Abhi organic food leke bhi hame ye sure nahi hota ki wo organic hai bhi ki nahi. Our common food, I went to a farm in Shimla. It was an apple orchard. And वो खुद जो orchard वाला था, that farmer, he told me that we use so many pesticides and so many things for a good crop. और वो जाता कहाँ है? It's all going inside. So even your wheat, as you are saying, it is all genetically modified that we are having in our common routine. तो वो क्या करेगा body में? Anything that is not natural, which has been genetically modified, is going to create changes in our body. And these are the reasons that we are now coming up with issues like early menopause. We are coming up with issues like cancer. We are coming up with so many other health conditions which were not existing pehle.
That's a brilliant take, Dr. Arya. So anybody else has any questions? Anybody else has any questions? You have a question? You have a question, please.
I'll just ask you a question. So I work with a nutrition brand and we have nutritional products. So one of the products is for women in menopause or in perimenopause. And that product has isoflavones, like, it basically increases the estrogen in the body. How safe would you say it is for anybody over 40 to take that kind of product? Like, it has all the like licorice root extract, isoflavones. So the ingredients are very like flaxseed powder. So ingredients are very like general, but at the same time, there is a big question of, okay, if you're taking something like that, how safe would that be?
So I myself am taking some supplements. I would admit that. So there is nothing wrong with taking or trying some things which have a proven benefit, like isoflavonoids do have, ashwagandha does have, black cohosh does have certain explained benefits in females, particularly going through perimenopause and menopause. So. Although the isoflavonoids as such, they mimic the effects of estrogen on our body. They are not a complete replacement. They help in decreasing the issues. I have myself been taking a few supplements, as I mentioned, and I feel the days I take them are better than when I miss them. So yes, they do help, but the long-term benefits are yet to be seen.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Just a second. Anybody else wanted to have? You wanted to have? Just a second after her, please.
A very simple question I just wanted to ask, that you said that postmenopausal hormonal therapy helps. Rather, it has more benefits than not taking it. Just simple reasons or symptoms. When should a menopausal woman think about taking hormonal therapy?
See, yeah, what I meant to say was within 10 years of menopause, so this is 5 years before and 5 years after is the best time to take the hormonal therapy. So, and the ideal candidates are the ones who are not able to manage the problems even after making the lifestyle shifts. So everybody is not a candidate, and if you are having minor problems which are manageable, it is better to make the lifestyle shifts. But if you are having issues which are interfering with your quality of life, then definitely you can get it evaluated.
Thank you for your lovely session. I have like they were amazing insights. I have a question on like lines of how to go about these things. Like I am in my mid 20s and like menopause wouldn't be something which would come in my life still in near future. But my mother is at that stage which she has to deal with it for now. So I have a question around it, like being my mother as well, she's not aware about all these things, so we don't have those conversations even on like the hormonal side, or even when I'm like on periods, how to deal with it and all of it, and then we choose the route of internet or like misleading information, we gather it and all of that. So according to you, what should be the path, like who should be the exact person? Because even for maximum females, I assume that pregnancy is the stage when they go and like consult a gynecologist, or those are the phases when you get familiar with those aspects, and in the initial years it's not. So what's your take on that? And like
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is a topic that is not very much talked about. And the reason I started doing this is because I myself was having a lot of anxiety issues. I was diagnosed as depression, and my psychiatrist gave me anti-anxiety pills. I was on anti-anxiety drugs for 2 months, and after 2 months, I realized the day I do not need this, because some of my days were naturally better and some of the days were not so good. Then I went to a gynecologist, and my gynecologist wrote a series of blood tests, the hormonal test evaluation. And since I have not reached my menopause, my test came back to be normal, and I was just told that this is age and this is going to happen. But I refused to take that as an answer, which is why I did an extensive study. And not many people in India are doing this, but I am giving a structured 12 weeks program to help women understand what is going on in their bodies and what they can do to navigate those shifts. out of which 4 primary I already mentioned in the section. Make the lifestyle shifts, the food that you need to take, the nutrition changes, the strength training, the strength building path, your stress management and your sleep management. These are 4 key pillars that you need to work on when you are navigating the changes. For anything else, if you have more problems, you can always get in touch with me. My card is right here.
And this is one standee right here. I would ask the photographers to take a, coverage of this as well. So we are a platform where it's a community building thing with us. We are having these conversations every now and then, online, offline, like this particular thing. And we want to make this as a normalized, desensitized topic to be discussed in your drawing rooms, in your bedrooms, not just in a gynecologist's office, not in a clinic, but in everyday life. And let this conversation build up. So we are not here to sell anything, but we are just here to provide a platform for women and men as well to make this a natural conversation ahead. So I thank everybody who joined us today. Dr. Arya, firstly, Dr. Radhika, Samira, I'll just put on the slides, Roshni, Uma, thank you so much. And thank you so much to all the viewers who've joined up from all over the world on YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live. Before we conclude this particular session, I have somebody very special, Dr. Harshneet. She would want to address this gathering a little bit, please.